gentlemen, Jim here, the tailor.
Hi guys, Victoria Baylor, Dressmaker.
My beautiful dressmaker.
Oh, he's so sweet, so sweet. It has been a while, and I will just fess up and say mainly that's my fault. We actually filmed a few weeks ago, and I just got so caught up I didn't even post. I dropped my laptop. Lord Jesus broke the screen. Just had all kinds of problems. So
my pad crashed. It's been a thing. And then, you know, we're going through our little hurricane here.
Yeah, Irma came through and shifted enough west. So thank God we made it through, and our prayers go for everyone down, especially like in the Keys and a lot of the
Puerto Rico. A very dear friend of mine in Puerto Rico, they're getting hit as
right
we
now
speak.
with Maria, right?
Yeah, you know. So, and I thought about moving to Puerto Rico, change that plan. You know,
so is there any safe place?
Yeah, we changed plans for all kind of reasons. We were just talking about what is it in life that we do that really makes us happy, and why do we do it? And I was telling Victoria that I've had a lot of students call for sessions but cancel out. But I don't worry about that. He keeps me going. My line will be out in November, and it's growing and getting bigger. And I've got people asking about it, so I'm happy.
That's good. And you know, for those that cancel, that's one thing, but there's just something. I love your student that came through that watched all 70 of our episodes. Her name just escaped me. Sorry, sweetie. And then she came to make her suit for her husband. And then she turned around to make another suit.
Yeah, that's my student. That's my lady in Texas.
She is on fire.
She is.
So I always say that that's even kind of a message to me as well. Why wait? Within the time it took her to watch all those episodes, come here and visit, spend time with you, she learned information that lasts for a lifetime. She doesn't have to buy her husband another suit.
She really doesn't, and she's on a good roll.
Yeah.
Because he's corporate America, and I don't know to what degree, or does he wear a suit all the day, but she's telling me that all his colleagues want her to make a suit.
Wow.
So
knowledge is power.
Yeah,
and
you don't know where it's going to come from.
That's right, and it definitely isn't a waste, and I definitely appreciate the time we spend together, and I get to pick your brain because Mr. Jim, you know, that's the thing. I don't know, the question is, do we want to invest in ourselves as sewers?
Yeah.
So, you know, I started a new business. I'll talk a little bit about that later, but you can't always get to that point in the road where you're second guessing, should I do this for me? The question is, do you want to go to the next level?
That's it.
Oh my gosh. And sewing there's such potential to go to the next level, but mentorship does mean a lot for that.
Oh, it does. As it stands now, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, the apparel industry right now is on it's on a real high, and there's a reason for it. We're getting goods made overseas that aren't any good. They don't fit, they come apart, this, that, and the other. There are more and more people going into sewing because if you're not going to do it as a profession, you want to look good anyway. Yeah. I have a lady now, another lady from Texas, who's been calling me and excited and this, that, and the other. But like I was telling Victoria, it's not done until it's done.
That's right.
Even though she calls me, sends me pictures of her work, showing me where she is. But she made a very interesting point. And this is the point that I've said before. The point is, in sewing, this is what it allows you to do when you get good. It allows you to sign the front of the check.
That it does.
It does.
That it does.
Because this lady told me she's a breast cancer survivor. She worked on a job, got laid off, but they called her back. She was with them for many, many years, and she's not a young person. If they lay her off again, at her age, we know point blank, she's slim and real slim, that you get another job when you reach a certain age, especially at a level of income that you were accustomed to. They get a younger person, see. So she mainly stated that she wanted to have this as an alternative. And I've said this before.
Very wise.
That the sewing industry, you can always make money. I don't care what goes down anywhere in the sewing industry, you can always make money.
It's just something about having a skill set that no one else can really duplicate the way you do and your insight. Anyway, it's just phenomenal. So that was our plug for believe in yourself, invest in yourself, and just make your aim getting good. Because you're right, because a lot of doors are opened up for you. So,
it is.
Again, not a message we've never preached before. But as far as today's show goes, we're going to do like a mishmash show since we're just playing catch up. I think a question came in from Mr. Jim. I have something I want to show you guys and kind of talk about. So
what is the question?
we will do. Actually, I think it's a heavy question. So let's
That's
just
right,
say
I'm heavy, brother.
we're gonna say that just for a second.
Okay.
But I will mention, speaking of sewing for yourself, I just started a new. Well, I upgraded my image consulting business. So most of you know I have dressedin10.com. That's going to become something else eventually, more so a resource site for women that need items that helps them, speed their life along and assist them with life. But I started Distinctly You Image and Color Consulting, which is my color and image consulting business, and I'm excited about that. And I needed just some more kind of work clothes for myself and professional stuff. So I went out today and grabbed some patterns, like little jackets and stuff like that. This one in particular, I think Mr. Jim, you got me started on that collarless jacket tip. That if you watched a few episodes ago, I wore one of Mr. Jim's jackets. I've been obsessed with the box jacket look. So I received this gorgeous fabric from Organic Cotton Plus. I love them. They make the most beautiful organic cottons. And I received this really beautiful kind of royal blue with like the little pattern in it.
Rich looking.
It's a very rich color. I think it's gonna look great on me. You know, I'm all about color because I'm a color consultant. There's a psychology associated with color. Blue is like the color of being trustworthy and all that stuff. My car is blue, which is kind of funny too. So anyway, this is my new fabric. So, and this is the pattern. I had a hard time finding a boxy pattern. I'm sure I have 500 patterns at home. I'm sure I have one. I couldn't find
got a whole
one.
lot of them.
I know, right? Yeah. So, and I believe it or not, didn't do a lot of suits because I worked in research science. We actually dressed down most for like 15 years. And then I just kind of wore like little cute tunics and stuff like that. But being in business and trying to upgrade my profile, I'm shifting to some cute, nice little suit pieces. So this new look pattern will suffice, which is really, really great. And then this one's cute. What do you think about that? That collar's a little weird to me. Is that normal? The little, what do you call that collar?
Actually, that's just a top collarless jacket because
so
it has a lapel.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
The only thing missing is the top collar.
Is that normal? Do people know? I think I've seen you make this, right?
Yeah, I've done that.
I think so. Okay, all right. I just want to be on trend now.
Yeah,
I want to look good.
But you see, that
and
is
it's this one, guys.
that can be worn both casual and dress.
That's why I like it because I don't want to. I'm not going into corporate America. I am an entrepreneur, self-employed, but I want the options.
But you have to meet and greet people.
All the
See,
time.
always remember this.
That's right.
That when you become self-employed, or the word entrepreneurship, you still have to greet your clients with a certain look because you know what they say, the first impression is a lasting impression.
Oh, I can preach about
now,
that.
you know, you don't want to go to image consult or to consult with a client about clothing and you look raggedy. I'm going to use that word, raggedy. And I've seen it too often. It's like the old cliche that they used to use about the shoemaker or the shoe cobbler with worn down shoes.
The hairdresser that doesn't do her own
doesn't
hair.
do her own hair, things like that. I always present myself well. I'm still in the casual look now. After next week, I'll be back in my vest because people ask me to be back in my vest.
Oh, that's right. I haven't seen you in the vest in a minute.
It's been a while.
Right.
But see, during the summer, I kind of lay back because it's so hot.
Yes.
But now, it's getting cooler, my kind of weather. And that's why I'm introducing my line for the fall because I'm mainly making jackets and tailored suits.
There's a lot of them, y'all.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I
there.
got a bunch of them. See, I haven't posted everything. I can't show you guys everything now. But that, and I'm putting a lot of things on my Pinterest account. And the
you got
name.
Pinterest or the Instagram?
I got Pinterest.
Oh, you got Pinterest.
Now.
Whoa!
Pinterest now.
Well, then tune in. What is your handle, sir?
The House of McFarlane.
Oh, that's your new line name?
It's my new line, The House of
Right.
McFarlane.
So regal.
If you go to Pinterest, you just pull up The House of McFarlane. Now, it'll spit me out, but it's under The House of McFarlane.
Good. We'll put that on the screen. Make sure you guys find that. We're going to check out all your good work.
Yeah.
Oh, and let's get to this question.
Let's see what she has to say.
Actually, this is it's so hilarious. Sozy left this on my personal 10,000 hours site. She apologized for it. No worries. For those that, if you do need to track down Mr. Jim, he is on Instagram, of course, and every other place, and on Facebook. You can go to the Tailor and Dressmaker because sometimes I miss these. So post it on our Facebook Tailor and Dressmaker page on the wall, and we should get your question. But anyway, the question is, hi Victoria, please forgive me for posting this here. I am not on most social media platforms. No problem, sweetie. Could you please ask Mr. Jim a few questions for me? And this is in regard to your stroller coat. So I think this is something from way back when. Do you recall
The
that?
stroller coat was the tuxedo that I made for the gentleman that got married.
Oh, that's right. I forget that's what it's called.
That's called a stroller coat.
Okay, so anyway.
Or a morning coat.
So there's a bunch of questions in relation to that. Her first question is, could you please ask Mr. Jim a few questions about the stroller coat? First, what pattern did you use? And then, was it a pattern that you drafted, or is it one that you pieced together using other pattern pieces?
Okay. I'm going to answer that because I get this question a lot. What pattern did I use? I take a standard block pattern and then I put my spin on it. If the pattern doesn't come that way, so I just add to it. The stroller coat was nothing but a suit coat, a shawl collar, top part that I cut off at the waist, and I added the tail to it. And I had to physically draft that tail onto it there, because you don't have patterns like that. People ask me all the time, what pattern did I use? I decided that once I do this line of clothes, the changes that I made on all the patterns that I use to make the look, I'm going to start reproducing those patterns. Because what I've done in doing that is I perfected on what they did. So the fit is better. So,
yeah, there was a sharp coat, and it did fit him mighty fine. Yeah. It really did. Okay, and the rest of her questions in regard to that is, next I heard him say that the back was sturdy enough without any interfacing. But what about a backstay? And then she says that primarily, or our backstay is primarily used in women's tailored jackets. And then lastly, it looked as if the canvas was sewn on by machine. Is that how you attached it, or did you do it by hand?
The canvas.
Backstay, did you use one of those? And then about the...
No, I didn't use a backstay. Now, let me say one of the reasons why they use that backstay. Everything that we make, the fabric has certain strengths, and when you get into better garments, you use better fabrics. When you get into what people ask me all the time, why is men's fabric so much different than women's fabric? It's not that they're different, it's what the fabric is used for. Because I take the same men's fabric and apply it to women's clothes. The weave is tighter. Usually the fabric is a lot stronger, so you don't really need the backstay. See? Now, the canvas that I put in there is done, it's set in. Now, it's stitched around the edge to hold it down.
Is that by machine? Stitched around that. She was wondering how much of that, is it hand sewn or did you do it by machine?
If you're talking about the padding stitch, maybe that's what she's talking about.
Maybe so. I think she looked it all, because I remember I took a video of it on.
Yeah.
How many different stitches did you use, and was any of that, most of it was hand sewn?
That's hand sewn. Okay. That, when you see all those white stitching there, holding the canvas on there, they're not permanent, they're temporal.
That's right.
Because what they do is, you have to hold the canvas secure in the chest cavity area so it doesn't shift, because it is canvas. Now once you physically sew the edge of it and it on, that's freed up. That's a floating canvas. It's not glued on or anything, it's not tacked down on, it floats. But the fabric will hold it in place.
Now, do you sew the edge on by machine?
By machine.
Okay,
by
but
machine.
then all the pad stitching to secure it there is done by hand.
The pad stitch, now let me tell you something about the pad stitch. When I teach my students how to do this, Tailor, I teach them the hand way.
Yeah.
Okay? But in industry nowadays, most of us, now you still have them old school ones that want to still pad it, but I use my blind stitch.
Yeah, I've seen, yeah.
I use my blind stitch.
And I've seen you.
Why? Well, it's real simple. That padding stitch can take many, many hours. That blind stitch, 15 minutes, I got the whole thing padded.
That's kind of nice.
Or I could spend 2 to 3 hours doing it by hand. Right? It doesn't make it any inferior by doing it by machine. It doesn't make it any superior by doing it by hand. It's the results that you want.
That's true.
See? And in tailoring, there are some of us, not all of us, that have shortcutted a lot of methods that we used to do. Now, I know how to do all the stitches, but you get to a point, especially when you're doing it for someone, I mean, they'll never know the difference, and it won't be any difference. It really won't. It won't be any difference, see? But time is money.
That's true.
See? So if I could save 2 hours over here and an hour over here, that shortens the time. Now, when you guys hear me say that it only takes me 3 hours to make this, 4 hours at the most to make that, that's the truth. I used to do it less than that, but I slowed down.
He's kind of fast.
But
still,
the reason is because, and that's what I teach. I teach the methods that we use that shortcut the way you do your job. One of the reasons why when people say that it takes them so long, I go back to what I always say. That's because you're spending more time taking it out than y'all putting it in the first time. Takes the same amount of time to put it in, wrong or right. But it takes so much more time to redo it. So the methods that I use teach you how to not have to redo it.
And that's true because you can, as long as you come to the same end result, why does it matter? I love doing hem dresses. I alter gowns all the time. And I think like some women, some other seamstresses, I have people come to me and complain that people charge triple, double for like sewing the lining underneath the dress. And I'm like, well, why was that complicated? It's just the lining, first of all. And then I think about it. I never, especially with chiffon, I never take anything apart. I think Mr. Jim had a really good tip. I always just mark the line where it needs to fold up and fold it up, stitch it, cut off the bottom, fold under, boom. It's when you start moving things around and shifting it, you add the complications. So that's the neat thing about knowing shortcuts. You can kind of prevent shooting yourself in the foot and make things still correct. It's kind of neat. I like that.
Shortens the time of doing things.
Yeah.
People say, oh, it took me all day to do this. I said, why? Why? The methods that I teach expedite the process. That's all it does. It doesn't make it inferior. It just means that, why do that? And when, you know, you guys used to always hear me talk about your pins. I use some pins. I don't tell you any lie. I do use some. But these are your best pins because as you lay your hands on your garment, they hold it in place. And you can actually maneuver better free-handed.
That's true.
When you got a pin here and here and here and here, to make a shift, you have to take the pin out, make the shift, put the pin back in. If you use your hand method, you ought to see me working. I move a little here, shift a little here, slide it a little here, because it's free. If I got the pins, I still have to do all that shifting and moving and sliding, but I got to take the pins out, stick them back in. Time factor, time management.
These develop little brains. It's amazing. Sometimes these will get to working and I'm not even, it's just like driving the car. You just get so used to this doing that this is on autopilot, and that's the coolest thing about sewing. Because this has to behave differently depending upon what you're working with. So for something like this though, which is a great canvas, I don't know, I would interface, obviously.
Well, you should. If you're going to make a jacket, even in a lightweight fabric, you should interface it. Now, what type of interfacing do you use?
I have the good woven stuff.
You have to get woven.
Same stuff that you
Because you see, this garment, this is woven.
Yeah.
The bonded interfacing that they use, or Pelon as the word that they like to use, is fused together. It does not move, bend, or shift. See? That's why a lot of times sometimes it's heavier than the fabric. The woven interfacing if this moves this way, it moves that way because it's woven too.
And that's the thing though, you have to decide what look you're going for and the functionality of it, because you're right, the interface will either make or break whatever you're trying to create. If you do want that softness and subtleness of the fabric, you don't want to overpower the characteristics. You want to choose widely, you know, what grade. And you're absolutely right. I just want this to kind of move. I don't really need it structured and stiff. So a nice medium weight interfacing will do. Now this is, I think we talked about this before, this is always a point of contention in sewing. If this were your fabric, would you pre-wash this? or not? This is always the thing, and there's no right or wrong answer. I always love to hear opinions because it helps give you guys feedback.
I never pre-wash anything. Why?
And this is 100% cotton.
If I buy a better fabric, I hope that they did that. And like I say, I hope. There's always the amount of shrinkage that you're going to get regardless.
That's true.
I don't care how many times you wash it, it's still going to shrink somewhat.
That's right.
Why? Better fabrics, when they're milled, go through a process called sponging. That's like pre-wash. In other words, once they loom the fabric, this whole bolt, unrolled and re-rolled, goes in a bath of water. It goes through a drying process, and then it's re-rolled again. That's called sponging. Sponging, water, liquid. Okay, that's like pre-wash. Now, sometimes it's not. It depends on lesser expensive fabric. Sometimes real cheap stuff. Beware of buying stuff because it's only 98 cents a yard.
Oh Lord!
Beware of
do that
because a lot of times that's not pre-shrunk. Why? Because the shrinking does what? Shrink it up. So if I stretch, in other words, if I stretch 100 yards of fabric and it's not pre-shrunk, I got 100 yards of fabric.
They're trying to make money off that cheap stuff.
If I stretch 100 yards of fabric and it's been sponged or pre-shrunk, it's not 100 anymore. It might be 90. It might be 85. So the distance gets shorter. So they will elongate the distance to make that extra money.
That's right.
So, but like I say, on a better fabric, and usually when you buy fabric from a reputable dealer, and I'm going to say that, from a reputable dealer, usually it is pre-shrunk.
That's right.
Now, when you get into woolen fabrics or your natural fabric, most all of those are pre-shrunk because they cost more.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, but cotton can be tricky. But like I said, if you buy from a reputable dealer, usually that dealer bought it from a reputable mill or house that milled it, which has pre-shrunk it for.
One suggestion, actually, too, what I was thinking is that a friend mentioned you put a damp towel in the dryer and put your fabric in there and do like a quick pre-shrinking. And then the other one is I do like to use my iron, fancy iron like the one Mr. Jim has, the steam generating iron, to actually shrink it that way. So I'm going to figure out what I want to do with this. But this is from the great people at Organic Cotton Plus who sent this, so I love this. I can't wait to work with this, and I hopefully will be wearing this jacket next week.
So, basically speaking, you have to use your own judgment. But like I said, the reason why I like to use my iron, I put enough steam on there, you'll see if it starts to move, then you need to do something. But if it doesn't move, if you can put that steam on there and it holds its own, then it's been pre-shrunk. That's where I adjust.
And I love that you said that because one great way to test is to take a small square that's evenly squared, and you can either steam it with the iron, make sure you mark or denote how big it was at first, and then measure it after. Or you can even throw it in your washing machine if you're not sure what the results are going to be. Look at it, dry it, and then take a look at it versus your fabric. You'd be amazed. If it looks great, go for it. If not, then stick to dry cleaning. But anyhow, that's our Michelin show today. Sorry, it's been a while. Lots of stuff was going on, but we're happy to reconnect. Join us for future shows. Hopefully we'll try to squeeze in some tutorials, some interviews, a bunch of other stuff. I do want to give a plug out to That Sewing Blab. I had the pleasure of being on that show yesterday with Don and Myra and the rest of the gang. Had a great time. They are starting their So You Think You Can Sew challenge, which is really, really phenomenal. I provided the material that they're going to use in the challenge. Please tune into them. I'll make sure I include the link. They will be making their items and displaying them for next week's show. So they are facing off and we get to judge on whose we like best. And of course we love them both. There's such great shows, such great talent. And Alethea was on there last night, and Carol, who had us cracking up, and then Carrie was putting in some great comments. So a lot of great fun gals out there. Make sure you tune into that show. So
that's good.
Yeah, so.
Well guys, Gentleman Jim here, the tailor, saying goodbye.
Oh, Victoria Baylor, Dressmaker. We will see you guys next week. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and we'll get to you.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye.